Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge. Today we're talking about bloggers, immigration specialists, all sorts of specialist experts that are running or used to run their video blogs to relocate you to Belarus. And our central subject is going to be our main troublemaker of the last year, who is now away from Belarus. You all know him pretty well, so let's just call him a bad boy. Over the last 3 years, I have been relocating people to Belarus, and my company has been doing that officially and by far successfully. We don't have any rejection, we don't have any ban, unlike the clients of the bad boy. But let's go through this story quickly and digest what happened and see what you can do to avoid getting into the trouble like the heroes, like the characters of this story did. To get a better and detailed understanding of the trouble that my client encountered in 2022, how time flies, you may watch the previous pieces of the Indian drama. And since I'm doing some, let's say, we can't say legal work, I'm interacting with law enforcement agencies about different scam and fraud cases, like our friend Zia Han. Zia, if you're watching, I'll catch you. And if anybody has seen this guy who is not a lawyer and who is my dedicated subscriber, please let me know. We will let the police know. So by far I know at least 3 video blogs of the guys who were trying to offer their services, who were marketing their services and relocating to Belarus and starting businesses in Belarus and all that stuff. None of them actually declared any official capacity. Maybe we could say just one guy, but whatever he did was not matching his official capacity. As a certified translator, I pretty much do what I'm supposed to do, and in this case my back is covered, so to speak. But throughout the whole story, I'm gonna be very careful, very much putting a lot of sense between the lines, and it's up to you whether or not you want to have some popcorn and listen to this story and comment underneath, of course, or you can just skip it and just watch until the wait until the next useful video comes up on the channel. A lot depends on your likes, your dislikes, your feedback. Thank you for those. And if you have some $5-10 that you can share with the content creator, I'll be very happy for that support. The links are underneath the video. You can also just push the thanks button, and it works worldwide to get me some tax-free money and create a better sound, better picture, and digest some fresh ideas for you on the screen here. So here is the main character of our story. He has a channel called Bad Boys Lies, and somehow he packed his stuff and ran away from Belarus last year. I won't be quoting you exact dates, because obviously I don't know these officially. But in February 23, was it, last year, he sold out his remaining crap and moved to the other side of the world. No doubt leaving some kind of an operator here on the ground, and I know who that is. And at the police station the guy said, "Oh, I only meant the best for my clients." And he is doing the same house scheme, the same technology with the village houses and residencies for the Indians, like before, like what my client had invested in and had failed, losing about $40,000. So the front of this scheme, the blogger, I would probably like to inject some emotional, colorful words, but I guess I'll have to be businesslike. The big bad boy has a shiny facade of a luxury guy having a Rolls Royce, having some gold about his person, let's say, and all that, you know, flashy stuff that attracts people. Not necessarily the smartest kinds of people, but statistically, as I see, maybe 1 in 10 fraud cases that he digested, one guy was really having some good intentions to invest, had cash, and was ready to apply it appropriately, let's say. So the shiny facade is reinforced with all kinds of Instagram pictures, with the ambassadors, with all sorts of guys, the bureaucrats with important badges. That's why I neither believe in bureaucrats nor in important badges. some business cards that say he's a chairman of this and he's a ambassador of that crap, blah blah blah. He was arranging meetings for his country, for his compatriots, bringing in the suited guys to talk with other suited guys. But generally, I haven't heard of any single project that actually kick-started thanks to him. On the contrary, a lot of people featured in the video blog were scammed, and some of them are not able to enter the country for the next 5 years. And what he was doing is the following. So there is this big guy that has a share in a travel agency, but whose official capacity is basically self-employed, which is something you can expect from a shoemaker or, I don't know, taxi driver, but it's not the big guy with all sorts of business cards telling everybody he's a good guy. He's a good and capable guy. He's certainly capable, but he's certainly not good. So this is the first suspicious thing I found about his profile. And he has all this stirring media noise about his channel, and he talks sweet and he's very kind and all until you give him the money. Then he's like a crocodile that doesn't really give back the ham he's swallowing. And once you contact this guy, right now it's no longer his phone, right now it's not really him on the line anymore, as I understand. And you're writing to him, let's say from India, and you want to get one of those houses, you want to get your residency, you want to get your, let's say, smart son into the university. And that's all about to happen, providing you wire an appropriate amount of money, normally $10,000 in crypto, to a strange guy in India. And you do that, of course, because you trust this nice guy, and when you arrive, he's kind of nice and sweet, but not only for a short period of time, because after that happens, you basically start getting orders of what to do and what not to do, and when you're standing on the line, your thing is about to happen, you are realizing that something may be wrong, but this is the only guy, the only beam of light in the darkness, so to speak, and he leads you all the way very carefully. He tells you that these guys are watching me, so no phones at the table, no crap, and somehow at some point the history of messaging all gets erased, and only very smart clients who later get frauded basically save some screenshots and have some material, some evidence to go on. The next thing I admire about this big bad operator is that people are afraid of him more than of the police. Maybe it's not really fear, but that's something I would define as such. And when you're telling them, guys, you have been scammed and there's an opportunity to go to the cops and place a query, of course, depending on what evidence you have, these guys are like, no, we don't need any help, blah, 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 blah. And eventually they end out outside the country and without the money. Because the first mistake is wiring the money to some strange guy. The big bad boy doesn't have any connection to that. And here on this end, the big bad boy and his assistant come to the police, which they did on our case with Kavaljeet. You can contact him later if you wish. I'll share the phone gladly and he will share his story. The link with his story is underneath as well. He speaks some Hindu. He actually speaks very good Hindu. So KJ, hello from Belarus. And you can find out the details. The next technical little failure that occurs is that the clients of the big boy, except technically they're not really his clients, these are the guys he meets at the airport sometimes, sends a limo, gets them red carpet treatment, maybe some strip dance and stuff. But the point is that he doesn't really accept any money from them directly. He doesn't promise them anything directly. Because the history gets cleared up and whatever papers were signed, normally there were no papers signed. Everything just vaporizes into the thin air and then you are left with history of messaging cleaned up, your wallet cleaned up, and zero understanding of what to do because the beacon of light disappears and you are in a strange country with no money and with some official paperwork clearly saying you shouldn't be here. The bad boy and his assistant go to the police for an interview and say some crap like, oh, we really weren't paid for these houses. That's what they said in the Kavaljeet story, the only case known to me of taking it to the police station. And we assume, I hope, that was one of the triggers that set the bad boy's ass off this country and across the goddamn ocean, because his behind was on fire pretty much. They said, we weren't paid for these houses. I gave money to my assistant, and the assistant confirms that. And the assistant guy says that I was trying hard to buy the houses. And of course, I told this guy he must renovate the houses before making them any livable or good for investment. But somehow he decided to go his own way. And what happened. He got denied, he got kicked out, he got whatever. So money is gone. Cheers. See you in the next series. The thing that I kind of hate about the whole story is when I find the victims, they are pissing about going anywhere official, and even the guy who is sitting here in Minsk with his official work, official studies, shared his story to me personally and wasted my whole bloody evening by saying, oh yes, I was scammed, I bought this house that was not accepted for the residency, even back then in 18 when they were not really checked. So this bullshit house is still there, and he bought half of a house of his father's and applied for the residency with that. Even this guy with this kind of story was busy when it was time to go to the police within the next week, and he said, I need to consult with lawyer, I'm busy, blah 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 blah. That's why, let's say, dealing with let's say people from India and Pakistan is not my major strategy in the coming future, because with this kind of attitude I don't understand it, I don't welcome it, and I don't want it to be a part of my business calendar, let's say. So right now the shop is empty. There's just a shopping assistant answering the phone, of course, and arranging all these house survival tours. The strange girls and friends of friends are inviting these people into the country. So the second or third major technical issue you should find out about is who is inviting you into Belarus to get all your residency thing resolved. Is it happening officially through an operator of some kind, or like my company, or some kind of strange guy whose girlfriend will send you invitation, blah blah blah, because the girlfriend later said, oh yeah, it was common friends, we wanted to help them, but they screwed up something. So the common friends, instead of 12 months, got a 3-month residency. That's Kavojit's story. And 15th of October 22, they were gone. That was it. So right now the guy is relaxing on the beach using your hard-earned money. Depending on your case, it was like harder or not so harder. Answers your questions, some of them are smart and some of them are not, and is sending the potential client traffic into the channel. Let's see what kind of questions he is getting, and let's see what kind of answers I could provide to those. And then you can match the answers and see which operator makes more sense. Let's get started. The first question, what is the TRP main passive income idea apart from real estate? I don't think there are such brilliant ideas unless you find some kind of a business you can invest into, and this will have to be serious money to get your roughly $1,000 a month survival budget. If we're talking about the city of Minsk, it could be less pretentious than in the province, but I would say if you come alone or with a family, you'd need $1,000 or more for the rental lodge and for the everyday expenses. Another guy wants to visit Minsk and is asking how to find accommodation and what to do about the logistics. I would say that although I don't like this, the fat bad boy is having a share in a travel agency that you know perfectly well. And this agency works pretty effectively, so you can get your first package and your tourist invitation through this agency and get settled within the plan and the budget that you wish to follow and agree with. The second question was about buying an apartment on a tourist visa, and this is possible if you come here on a tourist visa with money. There's nothing that prohibits you from buying an apartment. The next question I didn't quite get, although it was written down in English. Belarus village house, $20,000, garbage. Technically $20,000, 1 hour away from Minsk already, is getting you a pretty livable, okay village house, but you should ask yourself how you're gonna live there, what for you're gonna live there, and how you're gonna cover the distance that separates you from the city of Minsk, which is potentially your workplace, because I somehow doubt that without speaking any Russian you will be able to get some job or find a business in the province. Although we may quote some exceptional cases of South African farmers and other guys, but I so far, I'm sorry, have not heard of some Indian farmer guy who launched a kind of a beef farm or apple orchard or whatever these guys are asking on the channel. Next question, that's the answer, between the village house and the small investment, I would definitely recommend the small investment, because finishing the house with the garbage village houses, I would say that because of the bad boys business, this thing was kind of exposed in a bad light in 2022, and we played a major role in that with Kavaljit, getting it to the official level and to the police. The idea would be definitely a smaller investment. Shawarma kiosk, if you know about this. Some other restaurant kind of business, although it's not the most let's say effective way of investment, because there are other players in the field, and there aren't too many Indian eaters for a bunch of Indian restaurants that exist in Minsk. You should keep that in mind as well. Right now I seem to have a client of mine from India that we scratched out of the paws of the bad boy. That was not very easy, but the guy got settled legitimately, and he's trying to kickstart his restaurant over the 3rd month now, but doesn't seem to come to any successful point. Why choose Belarus over Russia? That's a very clear point. The country is more friendly towards other nations. Historically we had our Jews, we had our Muslims, so Belarusians, as long as the foreigners behave in a human way, they will not mistreat them or something. There may be sometimes racial jokes or something, but I would say that Belarus, out of the friendly circle of our neighbors, would be the most tolerant and welcoming country towards another race, let's call it that way. As long as you behave and again you are observing local laws and everything, it's a separate clip, a separate theme to discuss. And that's just as simple as that. And of course you have your profession and you have at least some basic Russian command. Another rather primitive question, how many days does it take to register a company? I would say it's primitive because the man doesn't specify what kind of company that's going to be, what it's going to do. And again, my client with the restaurant that never seemed to open has his company, which is digesting his money without producing anything and without first consulting, researching, doing. He just decided to kickstart the thing, started paying awful rental fees per month, and basically I'm not sure to which end this arrived. So it takes a few days to open up a company. 3 days, $1,000, you're an owner of an LLC. But next question is, what are you going to do with it? Where, how, what's the business traffic, who are the clients, blah, 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 blah. All this doesn't really fit into a free of charge video and is not answered in a matter of our communication right now. Another question, perhaps the last one, does EU sanction program affect Russia and Belarus in light of the current geopolitics? The answer is, of course, yes, it does, but if you're an enterprising business person, you will be looking for opportunities to cover these things, to bypass these things or make advantage of these things, supply gaps from the west filled from the east and stuff like that. Settlements may be another challenge, especially in dollars. That's why cash and other modes of operation are more popular. But again, depending on which branch you're aiming at, there may be separate laws, things and things to observe out there, issues to observe. So last but not least, getting back to our original message of the video, you should choose your operator carefully based on the outcome of their work, not the videos from the timeline, because again, in my friend's video, a lot of people in his timeline would have probably be happy to be left with this guy alone in a dark room for an hour and then try and find out where their money went. But that's not possible, I guess. We're in a law-abiding country, in a democratic country, so you have to use your brain before throwing your money at some guy you have never met. And in my case, it's the expat meetings, and they are every 2 Sundays now. The next one is announced down below. The previous one was quite populous and quite friendly in a Georgian restaurant in central Minsk. That's where you can see different people, my client or not, my admirers and the opposite, and basically conclude your own story and make your own plan. If you wish to relocate to Belarus, if you need some assistance in immigration, real estate and related matters, with company's 3-year experience, I'll be happy to make that happen. Thank you very much for watching. Put your feedback underneath and see you later. Cheers.